Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. Going to talk about a political incident today, but I'm not going to be political. And if people start posting political, negative, asinine comments, they're just going to be deleted. They don't have time to waste with that kind of bullshit. And I'm doing this because I saw so much bullshit being posted. And so, as you know, I don't get political and I'm not taking political sides. However, I do know a thing or two about violence. I do know a thing or two about removing people from venues. I've been there, done that multiple times. And so that's why I wanted to talk about the incident with Senator Tim Sheehy yesterday and look at that and discuss it in a reasonable manner about the act, not about why it happened or the politics around it. So I'm not getting into the politics, but we're going to talk about the actual act, whether, assault being thrown around and all this kind of different things. Okay. Before we do that, I'm going to say thank you to everybody that joins. Thank you to everybody that comments with reasonable, logical comments. Thank you for listening to the replays, whether it's video or audio on Spotify, Apple, the website, wherever. Hey, thank you. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate everybody signing up for the newsletter at enjoylifesafely.com. Thank you. Appreciate all of you. So yesterday, I saw these posts coming up. Senator from Montana breaks a Marine's arm and all these really disgusting things about the senator, saying how he assaulted a Marine, broke his arm, and, it's really ugly. And I'm like, what? So, I need to find out a little bit more about this. Now, I did find a video, and I'm going to see if I can show that video here. We're going to see what we can do to pull this video up and see if I can share that. So we have the video here, and it's a little bit harder to see the way I'm sharing it, but you can find this video at different places, but we're going to watch that.
Stand up as a Marine and stand up for America. No one wants to fight for Israel.
Let go of your hand. Let go of the door. Let go of the door.
The senator broke his hand. A sitting U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine.
Sir.
Control your Senate.
Arm stuck in the door. Okay, sir.
A U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine.
All right, so that's enough for watching the video. We've seen that video. You can find different angles of it out there, and it's ridiculous. I mean, that guy that's yelling, the senator just broke the hand of the Marine. He's trying to incite violence and trying to incite stuff when, no, the senator did not break his hand. Now, if you have never removed somebody from an area, whether it's a concert, whether it's a football game, I mean, I've been there, done that. There's no way to do it where it looks good. I mean, I've sat there with the captain of the police force and we've discussed this, saying when you have to go hands-on with somebody, there's no way it looks good for the law officers and the people trying to remove somebody. And if you've never been in that position, have you ever tried to pick up a kid, a little kid that's having a tantrum and just not wanting to go where you want them to go, and how difficult it is, even with a little kid, because you're not trying to hurt them? It's even worse when you have an adult, when you're not trying to hurt them. I'll tell you this, I can remove somebody from a place much easier hurting them, causing damage, than I can not hurting them. That is the most difficult thing, is when they don't want to go and you're trying not to hurt them. That's one of the reasons I like Reflex Protect. Spray them in the face. Their eyes are just burning. They can't see. It's easier to take them outside. Then you give them the decon and clean them up. They're handcuffed. They're out of the thing. You decon them and let them go on their way. There was no permanent injury. That's a lot nicer than me breaking your arm or breaking your leg or taking a baton and hitting you, which they used to do. They're not allowed to anymore. They used to have the batons and they would hit you to get you to comply and go out. So, I mean, it's difficult to remove somebody. And this person was being removed and fighting against it. It was, you saw people, it was taking a couple of them. The senator tried to assist, and he didn't assault that person. He was trying to assist or remove him out. The guy grabbed onto the door, and then the other door closed, and his hand got trapped, and that's how he got his hand hurt. He did it to himself by resisting and fighting and grabbing the door as they were trying to remove him. Okay. And people say, well, he had the right to protest. No, he didn't. We have the right to protest, and we have the freedom of speech in this country, but that does not give you the permission to do anything, say anything, wherever you want. You go into those committee meetings or different hearings and stuff, and you start screaming and yelling, you will be ejected and removed. There are designated places where you can have your protests and different things, but it's not everywhere. When I used to work at the university, we had specific places where you could have gatherings and protests and whatever you wanted. Freedom of speech. I have been security for white supremacists because they got the proper permits and they could have that certain area of the university to say what they wanted and preach their garbage. And it was my job to make sure they could do it safely. But they were not allowed to go into a classroom or a meeting and start yelling that stuff. They'd be kicked out right away. Police would be called. Just like at this hearing, you're not allowed to start yelling and screaming and disrupt the hearing. You'll be kicked out like that person was. And he is being charged with resisting arrest and a number of charges. Assaulting an officer because a couple officers were hurt trying to remove him too. Again, those situations are difficult. I've been there with a group of people trying to remove one person, and the group gets banged up and hurt because the people are flying and kicking and flaring their arms. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. And now to have all these different people, I mean, the one guy screaming in there, the senator broke his arm, the senator, no, he didn't. Okay. And now all these people posting that, the senator should be removed, he should be sued and all of this stuff. No. And I said, I don't care what your politics are. I would be saying the exact same thing if he was a Democrat senator, Republican, an independent. It doesn't matter. I'm looking at the situation because I know a thing or two about the violence and I know a thing or two about removing people. And I also know a little bit about the law, and I know about freedom of speech, and I know about protesting, and I know you can't just go wherever you want and say whatever you want and do whatever you want. No, that's not allowed. So before you post and share things and comment on things that you really don't know anything about, because I saw people posting, the senator broke his arm, Marine's arm. And then all these people are commenting, oh, he should do this, he should do that, without really even knowing what they're talking about. And that just fuels the misinformation and fuels the hatred and the fighting and all that against each other. And we don't need more of that. So that's what I wanted to share, because it just sickens me that people go off yelling and screaming and fighting with each other about things they really don't know anything about. And so I wanted to comment on the violence and the action and the removing of the person, because I know quite a bit about that. Want to do some comments, and then we're going to get off here because I got work to do. Jay and Vicky said good morning. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Vicky. Appreciate that. Dixon said, thank you for creating a diversion most every day at 9 a.m. local time. Thank you, Dixon. It's 8 o'clock my time, but I know it's 9 for you. Good morning, Guy. I appreciate you being here and saying hello. Dixon said, LEO escorting techniques rely heavily on pain compliance strategy and tactics for a reason. They do, and they are difficult to put on, and it is difficult to remove a person that's really fighting hard, that doesn't want to go, without hurting them. And so it's a no-win situation a lot of times for law enforcement officers, because they're trying not to hurt a person, but the person doesn't want to go. They have a job to do, so it's tough. Then we got a comment, doesn't look like he's active duty. Marines have better self-discipline. Guy claiming to be a Marine was out of line. There is no gentle way to control someone who doesn't want to be controlled. And that's so true. And yeah, I don't know if he was a Marine or a former Marine. I would say former Marine, because an active duty Marine's not allowed to protest in uniform. So I'm guessing he was maybe a former Marine, no longer, because again, an active duty Marine would get in trouble for protesting in uniform. So we got that going as well. But you are so correct. There is no gentle way to control people like that. And it's a no-win situation for law enforcement officers. And, the senator, who was a former military, he was in the Navy, he was a Navy SEAL trying to help. And again, that's all it was. It wasn't the senator went and intentionally broke this person's arm. Nobody wanted to hurt the guy. You could see they were trying to remove him, but when he grabbed that door and the other door shut and his arm got stuck, and the other people didn't see or realize it until the arm was hurt. And then when they realized it, they backed up, stopped, got his arm out and took him away, got him whatever medical attention he needed. And then they charged him with multiple crimes. So Guy said, Korea is the same. Yep, thanks, Guy. Chad, who spent a career in law enforcement, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And Chad knows how difficult it is to control people, except he spent many, many years as a law enforcement officer. Joe says, people have choices to make. Leave peacefully or leave in pieces. It's all about personal choices. Choose wisely. Exactly. We have the right to protest. We have the right to freedom of speech in certain locations and certain situations. I can't go into the movie theater and scream fire. That's the big one about, freedom of speech only goes so far. There are consequences for certain speech. It's not a free, you can say whatever you want, wherever you are. When law enforcement officers ask you to leave, comply and leave, and no harm, no foul. I mean, I've seen people that were asked to leave stadiums and events, and if they would have just left, it would have been no problem. But then they get stupid and start arguing. And I've actually walked up to a friend of somebody who was arguing with a police officer and told his friend, when the police officer says you can just leave, that's wise advice, because it's going to get worse if he continues. And he tried to get his buddy to leave, and his buddy kept on. Boom, he's arrested. Leave peacefully. You avoid a lot of trouble. So definitely good advice there. Chad said, be nice until it's time not to be nice. And that's exactly what every good law enforcement officer, good bouncer, good whoever, that was Dalton, the bouncer quote, they're nice. And if you voluntarily comply with directions, nobody goes hands on. And that's the ideal. And I can tell you, I have gotten people to voluntarily comply with communication skills much more than I've had to go hands-on. But when it's time to go hands-on, you go hands-on, and there's no pretty way to do it. It gets ugly. Joe said, government is very good at their job. Their job is to keep the left and the right agitated with each other. If we focus on each other, we won't focus on them. And when things boil over, you get arrested. And that is true. I think sometimes the left and the right have more in common with each other, but the powers that be would rather have us fighting and ignoring other things. And the powers that be could be government, could be big money, different things. If you stop and you just go out around your neighborhood, you probably got half Democrats, half Republicans, you got half left, half right, and you all could get along fine at a barbecue. But there are those that want us to fight, and that's why you don't ever see me getting mad at and yelling at either side. I won't insult either side. I know good people on both sides, and I think we have more in common than all this fighting and stuff leads people to believe. Jen said, good morning. Thank you for this live video. I was on the fence line debating if the senator did break his arm. This gave me clarification. Thanks, Jen. Thanks for joining. And that's why I decided to do this, where I don't normally get very political or talk about things like that. But it was definitely the way it was portrayed on some social media post. You'd think the senator went over there and just snapped the guy's arm on, and it wasn't like that. You know, you saw the video. The senator was just trying to help the police get him out of the chambers so they could go on with the committee meeting, because he was disrupting the committee meeting, and that's not allowed. That is not a proper place for protesting, screaming, and disruption. There are proper places to do it, and there are places where you're not allowed to do it. And so I just wanted to get that out there. I'm not commenting on the issues, because, again, both sides have their good arguments about the issues. I wanted to comment on the actual removal of the person, the violence, and the comments that he intentionally broke his arm, the comments that the senator should be removed and sued and different things, that they were in the wrong, and highlight that, because that's what I do have experience in. And I've removed a lot of people verbally. I've removed people physically. I've been in that group of people trying to remove that fighting person, and we're getting hit and kicked as we try to get them out. And when it's all over, you know, the officers and security personnel have to get attended to because they've been hurt too. I've watched fellow security people of mine in a group like that go to the hospital because of injuries after trying to remove somebody that was fighting. So I know how difficult it is. And I just hated seeing all this misinformation out there and just garbage out there, and then people believing that misinformation and adding to it. So went a little bit longer today, talked a little bit about something that, you know, I just thought needed to have some clarity out there. And one of the things the reasons I like Reflex Protect so much is because Reflex Protect, they could have sprayed that guy. His eyes would have been burning, and it would have taken the fight out of him, and they could have removed him. And Reflex Protect wouldn't have affected anybody else in the hearing room. They could have went on, and the guy wouldn't have been hurt. His eyes would have been painful, but when they got him outside and handcuffed, they could have cleaned him up and sent him on his way, or arrested him if they were still going to arrest him. And that is one of the reasons I like Reflex Protect, to help with those kind of situations. Sign up for the newsletter, enjoylifesafely.com. I put out good stuff every weekend on defending yourself, staying safe, enjoying life, and being exceptional. Check out the other courses and things at enjoylifesafely.com. One of them that is upcoming is the Restraint and Control course. I'm taking my old Restraint and Control DVDs and some other stuff, and I'm putting them into an online course. Stuff that could have been used here. And I think some of our law officers and security personnel, if they were better trained in some of that, it could help with these situations, obviously, you know, as Dixon pointed out earlier. So definitely check out enjoylifesafely.com. The Restraint and Control course will be out this year. So a lot of good stuff coming there. Check it out. Get on the newsletter. Make it a terrific Thursday with whatever you're doing. Appreciate everybody had the respectful comments. I'll be back to see you tomorrow.